The Traxxas TRX4 is known for being one of the best 1/10 scale crawlers around. But there's one problem, it's really expensive. What if I told you you could get a crawler just as good as the TRX4, but at less than half the price? That's right, you can get a crawler which features all of the same stuff as the TRX4, but for less than half the money. And what you're looking at here is the new FTX Outback Gladius. This thing is 1/10 scale, and I think it may be the only trail truck you'll ever need. And guess what? It's less than half the price of the TRX4. Now, FTX are very well known for rebranding popular RC cars. We've seen it in the past with the FTX Tracer, which is based on the Highbox in 16889, and the FTX Stinger, which is a rebranded HNR Panther, and then of course with this, which is a rebranded Mega RC Rock Viper. Now, in my opinion, I don't think this is a bad thing, because FTX always seem to pick the really popular cars and the cars that always seem to perform well. And I don't think I've ever come across a rebranded FTX that I don't really like. So this is the Outback Gladius. Now, come on, I think this thing looks incredible. I'm a huge fan of the colour scheme. On the box it looks white, but in reality it's kind of like a grey colour. I really like the logo on this as well. I think that looks super cool. We have got like a matte effect on the flatbed and here on the fenders, and this is really cool. We've got these metal strips on the steps. They look really, really nice. So we've got a plastic front bumper. We've also got a moulded grille and some LED lights, which we will switch on and have a look at later. On the rear, we don't get a rear bumper, and it doesn't look like we've got any LED lights. Now, FTX weren't going for scale detail with this one. I think that's quite clear, but what they were going for was a really good performing truck. And I hope it performs well, because at this price point, I think it could be the bargain of the year. So let's have a look under the body first and talk about some of the amazing chassis features on this truck. We'll also have a quick look at the electronics, and then of course we're going to give this thing a rip. So of course this thing has proper oil-filled shocks, and they do feel really nice. I'll give you a quick look at the rear as well. Once again, they do feel really good. So of course this has metal chassis rails, metal multi-link suspension. Here we have our drive shafts, and they look like they're a mix of metal and plastic. And look down here, we have pull-to axles, a very spacious battery tray. We've also got metal links on the front and a chassis mounted steering servo. Of course this has ball bearings throughout. Now what I would say is the compound on the tyres does feel kind of firm, in my opinion. Now that may not bother some people, and once again this is kind of like a trail truck compared to being an all-out rock crawler, so I think that is going to be accepted, and I think that's going to perform fine. I also really like the wheel design. I think they look really good. Now you may have noticed here we have a couple of servos, and that is because you can unlock and lock the diffs on this truck. Here we have another servo which controls the 2-speed transmission, and I did tell you at the start of this video this truck does have a lot of features comparable to the TRX4, and when you consider how many features this truck actually has for the price, it could be the bargain of the year. Now you may be wondering, he keeps banging on, but how much does this truck actually cost? And this is the perfect time to talk about today's sponsor, RochesterRC. Now RochesterRC have been kind enough to send this out to me to feature on the channel, and these guys have been smashing it lately. They're quickly becoming one of the best UK hobby shops around. Now these guys have this FTX listed at £259, which is already a great price for the amount of truck that you're getting, but there is a way to get even more money off. And you can also get free shipping across the entire site with no minimum order. And all you need to do is use my code beyondRC at checkout to get your 5% discount. Now using my code on the FTX Gladius brings the price down to £246 plus the free shipping, and I think that's a great deal for a truck like this. This code will work on everything listed on the site, even something as expensive as the X-Max, giving you a decent amount of money off. Now, I will leave some links down below so you can head over to their website. Don't forget to use the code as well if you want to be saving some money. So back to the truck then. Now let's talk about the electronics. Here we have a 40 amp Hobbywing ESC, and I have to say I have heard good and bad about this ESC. I don't think it's going to be very good, but we'll find out later. We have a 20 kilogram steering servo, and that's actually quite impressive. Down here we have our our brushed 17 turn motor, and I wonder how that's going to perform. And apart from that, that is pretty much it. Once again, if you want to check out the full spec, I will leave a link down below. So this truck does come as a ready to run package. This is the transmitter. Now this doesn't feel too bad. It's actually one of the nicer ready to run transmitters I've come across. Under here we have our usual features like steering trim, throttle trim, steering dual rate. There's also some dip switches. I don't know if they do anything yet, although up on top there it does look like we can change some settings around. I'll have a little play with that later. So battery wise, they've included a 2000 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery. Yes, it's not a LiPo, but it's good enough to get you up and running. In here we have a USB charger. It looks like there's also a manual for the ESC. Finally, we have a color manual for the truck itself. Now this has everything in it you need to know to get you up and running. It's also got some exploded diagrams and all the parts listed at the back. And this is really handy if you're looking for spare parts in the future. Right, so let's power this on and have a little look. Let's take a look at the steering servo first. Look at that, that is nice and powerful. That is actually very impressive for a ready to run servo. Now the 2-speed transmission is controlled off of channel 3. And we can lock and unlock our diffs using channel 4. Come on, I think we can all agree that is pretty impressive for a truck of this price. Now Traxxas want to charge people more than double to have features like this. Right, so I've now got the body on. I've also plugged in the LED lights. Take a look at that. I really like the simplicity here. They haven't gone crazy with the LED lights. And we do see this quite often where some RC companies seem to think we want tons and tons of LED lights. Well, no, we don't. What we want is a nice, subtle look, and I think FTX have achieved it here. So let's see how fast it is in low gear, and then we'll switch it up to high gear. So that is low. Not too bad. It does look like we've got a drag brake on this. The electronics do feel a little bit clunky. Switching it up to high gear, that's definitely a lot quicker. That is good enough to get you around your favourite trail. Kind of makes me wonder what this would be like with a more powerful system in it. I think it could be quite a fun truck. Maybe that would be a good idea for a future video. Let's see how it handles over here on the dirt. That's low gear. Pretty good. Suspension looks good as well. Very nice so far. Let's switch this to high gear now. Here we go, this is high gear off-road. Slightly bouncy, but that could be down to the firm compound on the tyres. But overall, so far, this is quite impressive. Now I want to try and show you the difference between having the diffs open and then locking them. Look at the difference it makes to the handling. So at the minute the diffs are open, it does turn nicely, nice and controlled. And now I've got the diffs locked. Take a look at this. Not too bad, but it definitely handles better with the diffs open, and that is handy for your high-speed stuff. So very impressive so far. I want to get it off-road, and I want to see how it performs. So low-speed modulation's not great, and I have heard that about this ESC. This thing looks so cool. Now this also has really good articulation. Look at that, lots of really cool travel. But once again, any kind of low speed stuff is slightly more difficult because the modulation on that ESC isn't great. So the ESC and the slightly firm compound tyres do take away from the performance a little bit. But that said, this is still a very good performing truck. I just love how fun it is in high speed, off-road on the dirt. It kind of makes me want to do a brushless conversion on this. FTX have done a great job with this one, and to offer all of that performance for the low price, I really don't think you can complain. So there we go then guys, that was the new FTX Outback Gladius, their new 1/10 scale trail truck / rock crawler. And oh my, what a great job FTX have done with this. When you consider how much it costs and how much performance you're getting right out the box, I don't think there's a lot out there that can compare. And I've said it a couple of times in this video, the Traxxas TRX4 does pretty much exactly the same as this, but it costs more than double. Don't forget to check out RochesterRC and get that 5% discount using my code beyondRC. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one, take care.